Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to write IELTS Writing Task 1 using a bar chart. I'm going to begin by giving you some information about IELTS Writing Task 1. But before I do that, remember in the previous lesson, I taught you how to write the introduction and the overview of this particular bar chart. So if you want to have the complete Band 9 essay, then I recommend you watch the previous video on how to write the introduction and the overview. I'm going to begin this lesson by giving you some information about IELTS Writing Task 1. You only get 20 minutes to write your Task 1. You are expected to write more than 150 words. Your Task 1 is marked in terms of the task achievement, your coherence and cohesion, the vocabulary, and the grammar. When it comes to writing task 1 for the academic students, you write a report that could be based on a bar chart, a line graph, a pie chart, a table, a map, or a diagram process. If you want to know how to write all of those different types of reports, then have a look at my Writing Task 1 playlist at the bottom of this video in the description box and also in the comment section. Now, for the general training students, your writing task 1 is usually a letter. Remember, all words will be counted and all numbers count as one word. Now that you have the information about IELTS Writing Task 1, let's get into our lesson. But before we do that, please remember to give this video a thumbs up to encourage me to keep uploading more videos, and also help me to help other people by sharing this video on all your social media platforms. And of course, remember to subscribe and turn your notification bell on so that when you know when I upload a new video. Now, the first thing that you do once you have received your question is to have a look at IELTS statement. The chart on the left shows the global sales of different types of digital games from 2010 to 2014. So the bar chart, it helps us to know the sales of different types of digital games that were made globally, that is worldwide, from the year 2010 to 2014. After that, the next step is to look at the bar chart itself. Look at the bar chart horizontally and vertically. Horizontally, we have the years 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014. And vertically, we have 0, 5, 10, and 15. That is the sales in billion dollars. The next thing is to look at the key. Red is for mobile phone games that were sold. Blue is for online games. Green is for console games, and red and black is for handheld games. Once you have studied the bar chart in terms of the information that is given to you horizontally and vertically and in the key, the next thing that you have to do is to divide the information into two. Divide the information in terms of the items, that is mobile phone games, online games, console games, and handheld games. Divide that into two. That is the first step. Divide the information that is given to you by IELTS into two parts. Now, after you have done that, you need to write your introduction and the overview. Like I said, just watch the previous video and you will see how to write about the key features in the introduction and in the overview. Once you have done that, then you want to write body paragraph 2. Now, how do you write body paragraph 2 and body paragraph 3? You base body paragraph 2 on 2 of the items. So always divide the information into 2 parts. Write about 2 of the items in body paragraph 2 and write about the other 2 items in body paragraph 3. In body paragraph 2, now, we are going to write about mobile phones and online games. And that is because when you look at the diagram, you can see all the blue is the highest. That is online games. And if you look at red, it is less than blue. Okay? Red is less than blue in all the years from 2010 to 2014. So that's a key feature that is significant about these 2 items, and you should write about that immediately. Remember, your body paragraph 2, you're supposed to compare and contrast, meaning you should find some similarities between the items and some differences between the items, and you write about that in each body paragraph. So, in body paragraph 2, we have said we are going to write about mobile phone games and online games. We want a similarity. So let's look at all the blue. The blue keeps going up except in 2012. The red keep going up except in 2012 and 2013. So already you have a general key feature. Okay? Now, so you write about that first of all. You begin with generally. So we're using generally, okay? Generally, there was a significant increment in the number of mobile games as well as online games sold throughout the 4-year period. So when you look at the sales of mobile phone games and online games in all the 4 years, there is a significant increment. So generally, there was a significant increment in the number of mobile games as well as online games sold throughout the 4-year period. So that is a similarity. Now, I want to write about a difference. Although, so I introduce the difference using the linking word of contrast, and that is although. Okay? Now, in the first part, I used the linking word as well as for the similarity, as well as, because I'm saying there was a significant increment in the number of mobile games as well as online games. So as well as, that suggests a similarity. And now I'm going to move on. I want to write about a difference between the 2 of them. So I introduce that difference using the linking word although. Although the total global sales in the latter means the one that was mentioned as the second one, okay, that is the last one. Although the global sales in the latter, that is online games, were comparatively much higher. So what I have done is I have written about a similarity between mobile phones and online games, and then I introduced a difference. And the difference is that the total global sales in the latter, that is in online games, were comparatively much higher. Now, when you look at the blue throughout the 4 years, when you look at the blue, you notice that it is much higher than the red. So that is an obvious difference, okay? Although the total global sales in the latter were comparatively much higher. Now, remember you're supposed to use numbers to support your claim. So I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into the details of what I have just introduced. In 2010, there were only 5 billion worth of mobile phone games sold in 2010. Okay, in 2010, when you look at the red, in 2010, there were only 5 billion worth of mobile phone games sold, whereas that linking word suggests you're talking about a difference, whereas in the same year, that is in 2010, double the number of online games were purchased, totaling to almost $10 billion. So I have now got into the specifics. I'm talking about 2010. There were only 5 billion worth of mobile phone games sold, whereas is a linking word that you use to contrast. Whereas in the same year, double the number of online games were purchased, totaling to almost $10 billion. So we're using the word double because for mobile phones, you have 5 billion, and for online games, you have 10 billion. So it is double. Now, and then I'm going to move on to the next year, and that is 2014. In 2014, however, see, I'm using the linking word however to show that I am contrasting. In 2014, however, the sales in online games nearly tripled. Okay, so in 2010, they doubled, but in 2014, they tripled. Tripled means 3 times more. In 2014, however, the sales in online games nearly tripled those of mobile phone games at $15 billion and $4 billion respectively. Okay, they nearly tripled because it is not exactly tripling. Okay, for it to triple, it would have to be 3 billion and 15 billion. So that's why I use the word nearly tripled those of mobile phone games at $15 and $4 billion respectively. Respectively means that 15 billion is for the first one, that is online games, and 4 billion is for mobile phone. So the first one is 15 billion and the second one is 4 billion. That is why we use the word respectively. Okay, so what have I done in body paragraph 2? First of all, I decided I'm going to write body paragraph 2 only based on mobile phone games and online games. I began the paragraph by, first of all, writing about a similarity, and that is there was a significant increment in the number of mobile games as well as online games sold throughout the 4-year period. Okay, and then after that, I got into a difference and I introduced that using the linking word although. Okay, and then after that, I used figures to support my claims. And that's when I introduced the years. I talked about 2010, okay, where there were only 5 billion worth of mobile phone games sold, whereas in the same year, double the number of online games were purchased, totaling to almost $10 billion. And then I talked about 2014, and I introduced 2014 using a linking word, however, to show I'm contrasting. The sales in online games nearly tripled those of mobile games at $15 billion and $4 billion respectively. Once you have done that, then you move on to body paragraph 3, and in body paragraph 3, you're going to write about the other 2 items, and that is console games and handheld games. So we introduced body paragraph 3 with on the other hand. Now I'm using on the other hand because I want to make sure that I link body paragraph 2 to body paragraph 3. So on the other hand, there were no sales. Remember, I finished off body paragraph 2 by talking about the high sales, okay, of mobile phone games at $15 billion and $4 billion, excuse me, respectively. And in body paragraph 3, I'm talking about no sales. That's why I'm introducing that using the link. On the other hand, there were no sales made with regards to either console games or handmade games at the beginning of the time period in 2010. Now, that is a huge difference, okay? On the other hand, there were no sales. In body paragraph 2, we are talking about sales in 2010, okay, and 2014. But on the other hand, there were no sales made with regards to either console games or handmade games at the beginning of the time period in 2010. When you look at 2010, you don't see any green, you don't see any black. Okay, so at the beginning of the time period in 2010, there were no console games or handmade games sold at all. But after that, see, I now want to talk about a contrast, a difference. I began the paragraph with a similarity, and that is the fact that there were no sales made with regards to either console games or handmade games at the beginning of the time period in 2010. That is a similarity. Now I'm introducing a difference, so I use the linking word but. But after that, approximately 2 billion worth of console games were purchased. Okay, so in 2011, that is after 2010, in 2011, approximately 2 billion worth of console games were purchased, but there were no handheld games sold globally. In 2010, you don't see any black. So there were no handheld games sold at all in 2011 and also in 2010, as we mentioned earlier on. So what have I done so far? I first of all began the paragraph with "on the other hand," okay, to indicate to the examiner that I'm going to talk about the other items that I hadn't talked about, but also that I want to link body paragraph 3 to body paragraph 2. And I introduced that by making it very clear that there were no sales made with regards to either console games or handmade games. So I started the paragraph again, like I did in body paragraph 3. I began that paragraph with a similarity. Okay? Now, after that, I introduced a difference using the linking word but. And in the next sentence, in the last sentence, in the following years, however, so I have talked about 2010 and 2011, and now I want to talk about the rest of the years. In the following years, however, there was the linking word, however, suggests I'm going to talk about something that is different from what I had just talked about. Because remember, the whole idea is behind your writing task 1 is to keep comparing and contrasting the key features. So in the following years, however, there was a small but steady increase in sales with reference to both console and handmade games, ending up with 4 billion and 5 billion in sales in 2014. Okay? In the following years, however, there was a small, very small, but steady increase in sales with reference to console and handheld games, ending up with 4 billion and 5 billion in sales in 2014. So what I have done in the whole of body paragraph 3 began with a similarity, and then I started writing about the differences. The same thing I did with body paragraph 2. I began with similarities and then I ended up with differences. So overall, what should you take from this lesson? The first thing that you do is read the information that has been given to you by IELTS. Use the bar chart to understand that information. Look at the information horizontally and vertically. Use the key. The next step, identify the key features in terms of divide the items into 2 categories. I divided the items into two categories, and they are mobile phone games and online games. And on the other hand, console games and handheld games. After that, write about the first two items in the first paragraph and then write about the other items in the second paragraph. So the first thing, divide your bar chart details into two logical categories, one for each paragraph. The next tip, use linking words, okay, for comparison. Okay, use linking words when you want to write about a difference. For example, however, although, okay, on the other hand, all right. But also use linking words that will indicate to the examiner that you want to write about similarities. As, for example, I used as well as, all right. Now, the next thing is ensure that you give numbers or figures to support your claim, okay? Use numbers and figures to support your claim. For example, in the essay, I used a lot of figures like 5 billion, 10 billion, 15 billion, 4 billion, and also make sure that you refer to the years. Now, so that's how you write your task 1 based on this particular bar chart if you want to score a band 9. All the words that I've underlined for you in red should help you to build your vocabulary so that you're able to write a good writing task 1. Generally is a very good word that will help to ensure that the examiner gets the impression straight away that you're comparing and contrasting. Because generally is usually one that you talk when you're introducing a similarity. Generally, okay? A significant increment in, as well as throughout the 4-year period. Although, latter, okay? In the latter, that's a very good word, comparatively much higher, worth of, whereas double the number of online games, totaling 2 almost, however, nearly tripled, respectively. No sales made with regards to either or at the beginning of the time period, but after that, approximately were purchased. In the following years, however, a small but steady increase in sales with reference to, ending up with, okay? All this is vocabulary that you could actually memorize and try and practice using this vocabulary to write your task 1. Practice makes perfect. Now, if you found this lesson helpful at all, then please give this video a thumbs up, share this video on all your social media platforms, and do not forget to subscribe to this channel and turn your notification bell on so that you know when I upload a new video. And most importantly, do not forget to have a look at the other playlists that I have in this channel. I have playlists on Writing Task 1, Writing Task 2, IELTS Speaking Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. I also have playlists on vocabulary, grammar, and how to speak English in different situations. You will find all those playlists in the description box and also in the comment section. Now, thank you very much and see you in our next lesson. Bye bye.